Everyone, by now most if not all of you are aware that the Bojan Bogdanovic has been traded to the Detroit Pistons from the Utah Jazz. Now the Utah Jazz acquired Kelly Olynyk and Saben Lee for Bojan Bogdanovic, and looks like an absolute fleece by the Detroit Pistons, which is an absolute huge steal by Detroit. Detroit hands down won this trade, got the better player. They didn't have to give up any picks, gave up guys that they really didn't need. This team is very young, very good, and is going to be great for a while. You know, they still have room to grow. They still need to develop. It'll be a couple years before I think that they'll be legit contenders. But this team is young, hungry, and has made all the right moves. If you're a Detroit Piston fan, you got to be excited for the future of this team. And adding Bojan Bogdanovic really could be a key veteran piece that really helps. Now, the other alternative is the Detroit Pistons moving Bojan Bogdanovic, right? They're a young team. They got a lot of young guys. Maybe they don't want him in their rotation to kind of allow the young guys to get the burn, get the run. Not saying that they need to trade him, not saying that they should trade him, just the possibility. They got him for basically nothing, for a bag of peanuts. So it would make sense that if they, as a young rebuilding team, position themselves continued for the future, right? Bojan, is he really going to want to re-sign with Detroit? Should you just trade him now and get some assets, get something for him, rather than, running him for the year and then he leaves and goes elsewhere and signs with another team? That is a real possibility. And one of the teams that have been rumored is, of course, the Lakers. And this is a Lakers channel, so why not talk about it? Now, the original idea or proposed Detroit Pistons trade was Kemba Walker, Alec Burks, Kelly Olynyk, and Nerlens Noel. Obviously, Olynyk isn't with the team anymore. He was traded in the Bojan Bogdanovic deal. So maybe they could rework the deal and get a first-round pick out of Bogdanovic. They move off of these three guys who they don't really seem to need or really seem to want. Nerlens Noel has all this drama and stuff going around him. I do imagine if Nerlens Noel was to come to the Lakers, I imagine the Lakers probably cut him. One, because of all the, the lawsuit and stuff like that with Rich Paul. But also, they would have too many players. They only have one open roster spot. So they'd have to get rid of two of these guys, which very likely would be Kemba Walker and Nerlens Noel, which isn't a bad deal. So essentially, you'd be trading Russell Westbrook and let's say a first or a pick swap in a couple seconds, something like that, and ultimately getting back Bogdanovic and Alec Burks is basically what you'd be getting. Because I don't see the Lakers keeping Kemba Walker. You don't need it, especially with all the guards you have. And then Nerlens Noel, all of the drama going on with him. Plus, you only, again, would have two spots. So that would be Bogdanovic, say, takes Russell Westbrook's spot, and then Alec Burks would take on the open roster spot. So really, you'd only be trading for two of these guys. But the Lakers would go get Bojan Bogdanovic, and you'd get a solid veteran 3-and-D wing in Alec Burks, who could play the 2 spot for you. You have a more natural 2 guard. You could also have him, back up LeBron. You could have Bojan play the 4. You have options there, and you move off of Russell Westbrook. Again, you give up a first or, a couple picks. I don't know even then if it's worth a first, but if you're Detroit, do you really care? If you could get, say, a 2028 pick swap and, say, 2 seconds, I think that is a huge deal for the Detroit Pistons. I really do. I think that would be great for them as a return for a guy that, could help you this year, but very likely isn't going to help you beyond this year. And if you are really good, 5 years from now in 2028, which I imagine they will be, I imagine Detroit fans believe they will be, I imagine Detroit believes they will be, and the idea is the Lakers are going to be terrible, you could literally be maybe even a contending team and have a lottery pick in 2028, and you lose nothing. You essentially traded Kelly Olynyk and, Saben Lee for a couple seconds and a potential lottery pick. Because if the Lakers are terrible and you're not, you're going to exercise that pick swap, and now you're in a position to get a lottery pick. I don't think it's a bad deal on both sides. And then for the Lakers, you're getting what you wanted, which is Bogdanovic. Yeah, it would have been nice to get Beasley. Clarkson didn't really make sense for the Lakers. But you're basically, instead of getting Beasley, you're getting Alex Burks, which I think kind of is a wash. And you're getting Bojan Bogdanovic, which is what you ultimately wanted. And if you don't have to give up both first, that'd be a great position to be in. Now, this can only happen, I just want to clarify, this could only happen if the deal with the Jazz hasn't been finalized yet. It would have to be a 3-team deal, because if the deal with the Jazz has been finalized, which right now we haven't seen any, at least at the time of recording this video, nothing has been finalized. It's all just been a apparent, rumored trade. It's not finalized with the NBA yet. I just want to make that clear, because I don't want people to get excited or think like, yes, there's a way to make this happen. It only can happen if the deal hasn't been finalized yet, because if it has, then they cannot aggregate Bojan Bogdanovic's contract and salary into a multiplayer trade. They'd have to trade him straight up, which I don't see them being able to, because the Lakers wouldn't be able to get to the salary that they need to get to in order to make that happen. Right? Because even Kendrick Nunn winning Gabriel is, a quarter of what Bojan Bogdanovic is making. So the only way that this could happen is if the deal hasn't been finalized, and then the Lakers could come in as a third team, take on Bogdanovic, take on, all these other guys, Alex Burke, Nerlens Noel, and Kemba Walker. That would be the best case scenario. Now, obviously, if the Lakers can get Bojan Bogdanovic, that would be a home run. Now, to be fair, this means that even the Suns could do that. Like the Suns could trade, Jay Crowder and Dario Saric for, Bogdanovic, and then also give up a pick or something like that. So this doesn't mean that the Lakers are the only team that could do this, that this is the Lakers in, stuff like that. It also means other teams can do it. And if I had to guess, and I don't know this, if I had to guess, that's probably why the deal hasn't been finalized yet, and why it was reported long before it was finalized. I mean, that happens a lot, but you got to imagine the Detroit Pistons are trying to find a way to really capitalize on the Bogdanovic, because as great of a piece as he would be for this team, it makes no sense for your future. It really would help you a lot this year. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he would not be a contributor for this Detroit Pistons team. He would be fantastic on this Detroit Pistons team, and I think he'd be a very valuable piece. But you're not looking at this year, because even with Bojan Bogdanovic, it's not like you are. It's not like you're a contender. It's not like you might not even be a playoff team. I think that they would be in the hunt for the play-in. But even if you are a playoff team, you're probably getting smacked in the first round. It just you're not looking at this year. You're looking at what can we do to turn him into assets for, the future, for the next several years. And I think that the Lakers trade could be that. I think the Lakers, they get what they want in Bogdanovic. They get an Alec Burke. They get two really solid players that could really help them now. They're giving up some assets. Like I said, a pick swap, a couple seconds. I don't think it's worth the first. I mean, look, Bogdanovic wasn't worth the first to any team, period. I mean, clearly, Utah just traded him and didn't get any draft picks. So if you're the Detroit Pistons, getting a potential lottery pick and a pick swap in a couple seconds would be a home run for you, right? For a guy that has no plans right now, for outside of right now, and no plans for your future, and is very likely just going to leave. Not saying that Olynyk and, Lee would have actually re-signed or anything. They could have gotten rid of them as well. But you're in a position to where you can afford to let go of Bogdanovic, get some assets for the future. Hopefully, you're really good in 2028, which I think Detroit will be, and I'm sure many people think that they will be. And you're hoping that the Lakers are terrible, which is why everyone wants those picks, because everyone thinks once LeBron leaves, this team is going to be in turmoil, and this team's going to be a disaster, and they're going to be a lottery team all over again, which could be the case. So if you're Detroit, you're looking at it as I could get a potential lottery pick. Yes, it's a swap, but even if it's not a lottery pick, even if they are, let's say we're a contender and they're just a fringe playoff team, or they're just a playoff team, and we would get the 25th pick, but they would get the 17th pick or the 20th pick, you still get a better pick, right? So no matter what, you're looking at it as long as we are better than the Lakers, there's value in that pick swap. And on top of that, we're getting some seconds for a guy that we don't really need, that, we have young guys that can come in and play the role. We basically traded Olynyk and Lee for this potential lottery pick and some seconds. I just think it's a win-win for both sides. I think the Lakers, they get the guy that they wanted. They get Alec Burke, who could really help, which they wanted and was even linked when he was with the Knicks. There was even talks about the Lakers trying to acquire him from the Knicks. So you get your 3-and-D wing, you get your shooter, you get everything you need, and then the Pistons, they get their young assets and they get the things that they need for their future and to continue the rebuild. And worst case, just assets to flip later on. Let's say the Detroit Pistons are a piece away, and you can go and trade this pick to a team to go get that piece. You can go trade that pick swap. Say in 2026, it's like, hey, we're really good. We're like a piece away from being a legit championship team. We got the Lakers, pick swap for 2028 that is looking like a lottery pick because this team's terrible. We got these picks over here. Let's take those and package this and go get the star over here. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm saying, like, put yourself in the position to where it could happen. It's just a thought that I have. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What would you think about this? Do you think if the Lakers can make this happen, make it happen? Again, this can only happen if the deal hasn't been finalized. If the deal's been finalized, and that's it, it's done, it's over with. This is what ends up happening. Detroit could still trade Bogdanovic, but it very likely won't be to the Lakers. But is this a deal that if you're the Lakers, you want to get done? Again, you're probably just getting Alec Burke and Bogdanovic. You're taking on the other two guys just to waive because you don't have the roster spots for these guys, nor do you really need them. You don't need Kemba Walker and you don't need Nerlens Noel, so it's not a big deal there. Just a thought. Just something that I thought was interesting. But again, however you feel, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Quick little shameless plug, everyone. If you enjoy my videos and commentary here on this channel, As It Stands Lakers, then check out the link down in the description below and go subscribe to As It Stands. Believe it or not, As It Stands was the first channel. If it wasn't for that channel, this channel would never have existed. Because of the success of that channel, it led me to want to create this Lakers channel. So do me a huge solid. If you're not subscribed over there, go check that out. Go subscribe over there. I talk all things sports, all teams, things like that, not just the Lakers. So if you just enjoy my commentary and want to hear me talk about other things, or you just, are a fan of other sports and other teams, go check that out. I promise you will not be disappointed. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.